All right, let's go over spanning and splitting text. This can be very useful when we want a headline embedded in a text frame, or we want to kind of have a mini set of columns inside another column. It's not quite a column, we're actually splitting the column, but I'll show you what I mean. Let's go ahead and go to page 12 and 13 just to work on those pages. And let's go to File, Place. Let's select this article again, and I'm just going to click and drag this out like so. And I need this to be 2 columns, so we're going to go back to the text frame option. So right click, text frame options, and then let's set this to 2 columns. And the gutter in between, let's increase that a little bit for this example. And click OK. And so we've got 2 column story here. Now the problem is though, we want that title up at the top. So I'm going to actually zoom in here, Control or Command plus. I'm going to type a title pretty quickly right here. So I typed in snow skiing lessons now available. Let's make it a little bit larger here so it looks more like a title. The problem is it's only in one column here. It is in this text frame, but it's only on the left hand side. So what if we wanted this to go across both of these columns? Well, what we can do is up on the control panel, click on the paragraph mode, and we don't have the option up here because my window is a little bit smaller on this recording screen area, so I'm going to click and drag this out here so we can see right up here where it says none. Click on that and go to span 2. Now it spans across 2 columns. You can also get to this menu if you click up here right there and then go to span columns. And there are a couple more options there actually. So space before span, space after span. So if I click that and I click preview, it'll give us a little bit of more spacing below it. So I'll click OK and then bring that back over here. That's how we span columns. The other alternative is to do what we did earlier, is just create a new text frame and put it above the story. And that's fine, but this is useful because we can actually move this around without having to group it first. Now, span columns does not work when we have separate text frames. For example, if I went to the first area that we placed text in, I could not span columns here. These are 4 different text frames. They're all threaded together where it has the same story in there, but I can't just span columns there like I can right here because this is just one text frame. Now the opposite of spanning columns, where we expand some text from one column and just have it go across a number of columns, is splitting columns. So let's say we have a list here of things you can purchase or rent from the resort. So we have maps, snowboards, skis, protective gear, goggles, and then way up here we have inner tubes. And let's just make this, click on that and just use shift and the arrows on the keyboard. And let's just make this a numbered bullet point. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then way up here 6. And I don't want to remove any of this text here to pull that 6 from up there down here. We could adjust the text frame height and all that, but what if we wanted to fill up the space right here though? Well, that's why we would split columns. So we could use the same menu from earlier right here up on the control panel. Instead of span all, we go down to where it says split 2, split 3, split 4, just click split 2, and then we'll have 2 kind of columns inside this column. And the other option, of course, is to click here and go to span columns and then go to split column. And there we have a couple more options, like the inside gutter, that's a spacing in between, and then outside as well. So I have preview checked on, and so if we go to split column and then inside gutter, if I make that smaller, see how it gets a little bit less space there. So I can increase that. And if I increase this outside gutter, that just brings this one over, gives it a little bit more space here and there as well. So if I really increase that, you'll see this gets pushed over as well. So that's how we split columns. We have some overset text here, but I'm just using this as an example, of course. We have one text frame. Instead of placing a story into multiple text frames, we can just place it in one and then add columns, add a title by spanning columns, and then adding sort of mini columns here inside another column by splitting columns. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next lesson.